Hey everyone, it's Rayce Robinson, your favorite Florida mortgage broker. Hope you're doing awesome. Coming to you with the numbers for September, which covered to the end of August. And it's been interesting to watch the numbers and some of the articles I've wrote and different things from, prior to COVID, during the height of COVID to now. And so really the shining of all the asset classes has been the real estate market. But of course, the stock market, everything has went up, and always the question is has these things reached a height, and what's going to happen in the future? I'm always looking at that. So I'm always looking at what the numbers say as far as what the trends are, and then what maybe the things are to be looking at in the future. First, do me a favor. If you think this video is useful, like the video, it helps. If you're thinking of doing anything with real estate here in the Central Florida or anywhere in Florida market, let me know. I'd love to help. No lender fees, easy to work with. Look me up on Google. Let me know what I can do to help. Okay, so let's look at the national numbers first and see how we compare nationally. So at the end of August, there were 5.88 million in sales. The median price across the nation is $356,000. Now remember, there's a lot of different markets across the United States, and those are probably the main metro areas. But again, that would be the national number. We'll see where we compare to that. Nationally, there's about 2.6 months of inventory, and the median price is up about 15%, 14.9% over the year. So again, real estate continuing to go up, which is great if you're a homeowner. If you're waiting to buy, that number, year after year after year continues to get higher. So let's look at what our numbers are, which I think is interesting here for Central Florida. So one, interest rates do drive the market. I'm going to talk about the Fed and what they're saying here in a minute. But rates are still really low, under 3%. Now remember, when you see rates, it's usually depicted with really high credit scores, big down payments, and all these things. So every situation is going to be different. But in general, rates have started to move up a little bit, but they are still just ridiculously low. Total homes on the market, 3,638. Now in August of last year, there was almost 6,000. So the inventories went down by double. But an interesting trend that I've noticed is in March, or let's look at April, there was 2,600 homes on the market, and now there's 3,600 homes on the market, which does make sense because there's busier and slower times of the year. But we are starting to see maybe that inventory creep up a little bit, which is good, really for a more normal market. You don't really, like right now, we're at under 2.5 months of inventory, which is just really, really low. That means any houses are going really, really fast that are priced anywhere kind of competitive. Average days on the market are 2,500. Now, of those 3,638 homes, only 2,712 of them are single family homes. The rest are going to be condos, townhomes, and other properties. So really, that's not, again, as always, a lot of homes for our market here in Central Florida. There were 4,375 new listings compared to 4,700 in the previous month. New contracts are just under 4,000. That's up a little. Sales closed are about the same. Last month they were 4,100, and end of August they were 4,000 or 33,999. So what does that tell me? Again, inventory is low. It has came up a tad, and I personally think you're going to see that trend continue. Now it's not going to go a lot because there's still such a big demand, and if you look at just housing formations and the new people that are coming into the market, the builders are having a hard time just keeping up with that, plus increasing supply to get over those numbers. Now, last thing here we'll look at is median in our market. I said the national average here was 356,000. Our median price is 320,000. So they talk about average versus median. I would personally use median. At least that's what I always look at my analysis, even for my own purchases. So you can look up what the difference is. But median price is kind of what you want to use. And if you look in August of last year, it was 275,000. The median price is now 320,000, which means affordability has went down. So what does all this mean? What did the Fed say recently? And how's that going to affect the housing market going forward, either buying a home or selling a home? The Fed met and is meeting, and they didn't say anything that's that surprising. So the one tool that the Fed has in its tool belt is to really, the main thing they can do is increase and decrease the Fed's funds rate. And they really have that Fed funds rate almost at zero to 0.25. So they want to get that up. And the reason they want to get that up is if there ever to be any type of other economic event, their biggest plan, their playbook is to lower the Fed funds rate. In fact, prior to COVID, they had been increasing the Fed funds rate. They also can taper, meaning they're buying mortgage-backed securities and treasuries, and they said they're going to back off of that. Don't want to get into what all that means, but ultimately what it means is it's going to push rates up. They said that they're going to start targeting probably in the second half of next year, starting bumping up the Fed funds rate, which will pull rates up. Remember, interest rates are ultimately a market, but the Fed does definitely influence that. And that's going to start moving rates up, which of course the Fed's going to do. You can't keep rates at zero forever because they're worried about inflation and other things that happen the longer you do that. So they're really going to make a big effort. Now they're going to pay attention to the market, the stock market, the housing market, and of course make those adjustments as they start bumping up the rate to see what happens. But all that means is they're going to increase rates, and as you increase rates, you definitely slow down the market. Of course, they have a long way to go from where they're at now to slow down the market, but that is kind of the goal, or at least to get it to more a stabilized market. 20% appreciation sounds great, but that's not sustainable year over year. So, they're looking to kind of get not just the real estate market, but to get really all the markets in more, I guess, equilibrium. And also, I know I'm really simplifying this, and they're also worried about inflation. So what does that mean? I think you're going to see inventory start to move up, but I think it's suddenly going to become a buyer's market where all of a sudden prices are falling and there's lots of inventory. I just don't see that happening anytime soon. I say this in almost every video. Every market is cyclical, and at some point, stock, gold, any asset class, including real estate, will have ups and downs. I just think we're a long way off on that from real estate. But fortunately, you might get a chance to get more inventory, and maybe some first-time home buyers can get into the market because they really have not been able to take advantage of a lot of this because there's just really the low down payment mortgages that we do them are not favorable when you're competing against a lot of other borrowers. And I've done other videos, which I'll link to in the description, on how to get your offer accepted in a hot market, even with the lower down payment, and some things kind of that are going on there. So what does all this mean? Ultimately, nothing's really changed, though you do see an inkling, is that a word, of some kind of change. The Fed saying they're going to raise rates. So I think, going into next year, it'll be really interesting to watch as the Fed pushes up rates, fears of inflation subside, which I believe will happen. What the real estate, stock market, and all these asset classes are going to do as the market becomes more normal. Because remember, having a 0% Fed funds rate is not normal. All right, hope that helps. Definitely reach out if there's anything I can do, any questions that you have. More importantly, be safe. I hope everyone is still having their own personal recovery, and ultimately I know what I can do to help. All right, have a great day. Talk to you soon.